In this episode of Jerzees Adventures in Apparel Decorating, we're in beautiful Bozeman, Montana.
Today, we actually have lined up a 10-color print. It is a dark garment, but there's a twist to it. It's a black heather 50-50 dark garment. We're actually going to be utilizing a black blocker, 2 white layers, a puff, 4 spot colors, a highlight white. Finally, we're going to be throwing in metallic gold.
We're going to be debunking some of the biggest water-based printing myths out there with our friends at Lone Mountain Printing. Lone Mountain Printing is a custom apparel printing powerhouse, specializing in screen print innovation and full turnkey programs. They are certified masters in using water-based inks. Water-based printing has become really popular in the United States lately, and we're so lucky today because we have Colin Shane with Lone Mountain Printing to talk all about it. Let's dive into your origin story. How did you get started?
It was 2010. I was unemployed. And I got a job as the do everything, clean everything person at a screen printing shop. And about 6 weeks after I started, the owner closed. I realized that I wanted to keep doing screen printing. I went to my parents, they helped me get my first screen printing set up, and I actually started in a 1-car garage. Year after year, we moved and grown and moved and grown, and we got our first auto in 2014. That same year, I committed to going to 100% water-based.
Why water-based? Why does that appeal to you?
Water-based is the future. I think it's only truly a matter of time until a lot of the raw materials that are in plastisol are either harder and harder to get, or countries like the United States and other will follow suit of the corporations that just don't want these chemicals in their products anymore. And it's a choice. I like the challenge and I like the feel and the vibrancy that we can achieve. Everything about it just shows more of a superior product. In water-based printing, we failed so many times at things that we understood the fastest ways of practice to get through the process in production. And we streamline it. We're using CTS, speeding up our registrations. Our rock oval allows us for faster setups, more accurate setups. It allows us to take this 10-color print, get it in press quickly, get it printing, and get it going, get it off the press, and moving on to the next one. We have a very step-by-step SOP when it comes to what we do and how we do things for all of our departments here. But I think that's one of the biggest things is when you're first starting and you're first getting into it, even if you've dabbled, is document your procedures. In water-based printing, we're actually technically graphics printers. So you're gonna run usually around 15 to 18% EOM on your emulsion, and you're gonna use the same mesh you'd use with plastisol. You're just running a thinner stencil because we're not utilizing that stencil as a gasket to hold the plastisol in place anymore. We're printing down a fine, very defined layer on there.
Which is why you double stroke every hit.
Correct, we double stroke everything because you need that second stroke to shear out the water molecule so the ink can actually leave the mesh properly. If you single stroke it, it leaves a lot of things behind. A lot of times shops will step into water-based from a plastisol. There's a lot of things that you do when you print plastisol that don't translate to water-based printing. But the things you learn in water-based printing can go that direction and go back the other way.
So there's a lot of myths out there, I think, about water-based printing. What's your take on that?
There's quite a few of them. And I think that there are 3 or 4 main big ones that a lot of people tend to think about when they first come to water-based.
Myth to debunk first is about printing on dark shirts.
We're gonna be printing on black heather today, and it's gonna give us bright, vibrant color through the whole process.
Another myth to debunk is the fact that there aren't any special effects for water-based printing that work.
That's a big myth. Because today we're actually gonna be doing 2 special effects in one. We're gonna be printing a puff, we're printing metallic gold. We will actually achieve a better result out of both of those than you can achieve out of a plastisol special effect.
Myth 3 is the fact that you can't run water-based in a big production environment all day long.
That's a big myth, and you can run all day long, every single day with water-based. A couple summers ago, we were running 100,000 prints a month all summer long, trying to produce for bands going on tour, for Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, doing it all in water-based ink.
Colin, does it really matter what we're printing on?
You know, it does. A good fabric is a great foundation for a good quality print. So today we're actually gonna be printing on Jerzees Black Heather 50-50 raglan tees. It's a very easy fabric to print to. All we gotta do is we're gonna be throwing in a blocking ink to help us through the process to keep us with crisp white. The knit structure on the shirt is very, very tight. It's a higher thread count, it's very tight, which allows us to lay more of that film of ink directly on the surface fabric rather than trying to lay a deposit that they do with plastisol.
So Colin, we've been talking about debunking this water-based screen printing myths. Let's go get it on press and do it for real.
All right, let's get to it. This is our print today that we're doing, 10 colors total. In this design, we're actually printing our puff and we're actually printing our gold. So our light gray color here is going to be our puff layer. And then our gold is our metallic gold. And we're actually putting a metallic gold over our white ink underbasing to give it some brightness and some vibrancy. We also have a bright, vibrant red, teal, and orange as well to go in this print. So we like to build out our files as they are in production. So we actually build out everything we're doing as finished layers because it is easier for us to understand the process of how it's actually gonna print when we get there. So like in this print here, we're actually printing a blocker, and then we're coming in printing our white, our second white, and then we're bringing all of our colors on top of that. So this allows us to build out our projects before we get to press to allow us to see what it's gonna be like so we can predict production quality.
So every great print shop needs a production manager to make sure things are working great. And here I've got Peyton Smith, who is that guy here at Lone Mountain. Tell us about working here at Lone Mountain. What's it like?
It's great. It's just a great environment and I love working underneath Colin. He's taught me a lot.
Do you feel it's difficult to print on a dark garment?
With water-based, no, I haven't had any issues.
Right, and what about using special effects ink? Is that a big deal?
It's not a big deal as far as complication. It's just more of the testing process before we go to production. But it is really fun to work with a lot of that stuff.
And it really makes the print look great, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Is it difficult to run and maintain production using water-based ink?
Absolutely not. I've used other inks kind of here and there, but predominantly water-based, and it just has longevity. It just keeps going. I mean, we've done production runs of like 2,000 pieces and it just keeps going.
So Peyton, what are you doing today?
We're doing a pretty cool print. It's gonna be a 10 color print on a 50/50 raglan with a few special effects on there, metallic and some puff. So I'm pretty excited about it.
We're up in Lone Mountain's ink lab, and Colin, we're gonna be mixing up a special gold. Walk us through what you're doing.
We've got a special clear base that's designed to handle powders. So we're actually gonna be taking this clear base, we're gonna actually be adding gold powder into this directly and blending it up at high speed.
And so a key piece of equipment for this is a good scale that can go to 1/100th of a gram so you can measure.
And what's more important there is that it's accurate and fast.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times you can get a scale that goes to 1/100th of a gram, but it takes forever for it to react. And you may overshoot whatever you're trying to get to because it takes so long for it to react. We actually chose a scale that has automatic calibration in it. When it turns on, automatically calibrates itself and we're going. We've got our clear base in our bucket. We're gonna go ahead and zero it out so that we can add in our powder. We're gonna be using a very, 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 very fine powder here. It's 32 to 38 micron particle size, which gives us very smooth, consistent color. We're gonna add about between 15 to 18%. We're gonna mix it up. We actually have a standard drill press from a hardware store with a specialty ink mixing dispersion blade, which allows for the ink to blend properly.
That's beautiful.
Our powder is now completely blended in with our clear base. And so this is gonna be the last portion of our print today. One of the benefits of metallic ink and water base is because the particle size is so much smaller, we get a smoother metallic look compared to plastisol where it's a little bit more of a chunky particle. But the other aspect of it too is the binding agents in plastisols, they do not cure completely clear. They stay milky. So you lose that vibrancy.
Right.
Where here, all of our bases that we use, whether it's a glitter or a metallic, we're getting a full transparent cured base so we don't lose our vibrancy. So right now we're going through and we're doing our registration. We do all of our registration by hand and by eye to double check our accuracy so that we can produce the quality that we want to produce.
So a really fantastic production tip for easy setup and registration is to use a registration system. The press manufacturers have a jig that uses 3 points of contact to easily set the screen in and lock it in, And every single screen in your production run is now registered to each other with minimal ease. In fact, you don't even need to use a registration mark if you do this.
One of the greatest things we love about this press is that we can have somebody loading and a technician can be running a print head, stopping, starting the machine all from where they're at without having to yell back and forth.
So when using water-based inks to print on dark shirts like this 50/50 raglan, we want to make sure that we use a bleed blocker black to help set up a really great foundation to make all the colors pop. So our puff ink is one of our first couple screens that we're going to print, but we're using metallic gold at the end to make sure it's brilliant, sparkles, and has that perfect pop.
We chose the maximum we could do just for this project. We've got a blocker underneath, we've got 2 whites, and then we also have some bright spot color work that gives us some good, bright, vibrant color, along with our 2 specialties of our puff and our metallic, which is almost like foil.
Tom, what a fantastic day, and I think we debunked a lot of water-based printing myths.
We ran this 10 color print on dark fabric. We've got a blocker underneath, we've got 2 whites, and then we also have some bright spot color work that gives us some good, bright, vibrant color, along with our 2 specialties of our puff, which we got some great height and texture out of, and our metallic, which is almost like foil.
Looks exactly like foil, and if you didn't know it was ink, because I saw it being printed, I would swear it was foil. And I love the height that we got on the puff. This is just amazing. But what's really great is the fact that with the water-based ink, you can't feel the print. It's amazing that this is water-based, and you totally debunked everything.
We started with that JERZEES premium blend fabric.
Right.
Great shirt. Now with this print, after we're all finished, we've got 10 colors, and it's really elevated the value of this garment through this metallic and its puff, because that buyer is gonna see it on the shelf, they're gonna be like, I wanna have that.
You can print on a dark shirt, you can print with special effects, and you can print production with a big run with no problems. High five, dude, you knocked it out.
Thanks for coming. This was a blast. We appreciate it. We hope you guys come out again for another video series so we can really push the limits even farther than we did this time.
I can't wait. That's a wrap. This has been another episode of JERZEES Adventures in Apparel Decorating. We'll see you next time.